Good morning, everyone. My name is Michael, or Mike, Prats from Ohio State, and I want to thank all the supporters from Ohio State today. So I'm here to talk to you about the Ultrasound G.E.L podcast, gathering evidence from the literature. This is how I start most mornings. Hop on my bike, and I love to ride to work. And one of the first things I do is I pop in some headphones, start listening to podcasts. I've been doing this for a long time, and I found out early on it's a little bit dangerous to watch ultrasound podcasts while you're riding. And that's actually what prompted this idea. I wanted to participate in this FOAMed movement and make a podcast, but I wanted to be able to listen to it on a commute, and I wanted other people to have that same opportunity. So this kind of sparked the idea, how could we do this? And the idea was, well, if we review the most recent literature in point-of-care ultrasound, you don't actually need to look at any pictures or videos. And while this was the start, it's definitely not the heart that's continued to motivate us moving forward. What we really want to continue this for is something we call EBS, evidence-based synology. This is just evidence-based medicine for point-of-care ultrasound. And I don't know about you guys, but ultrasound seems to be exploding in emergency departments all over the country, all over the world. And it's not just used for trauma anymore, right? Obviously, I've seen some papers there where people are using ultrasound for nail bed lacerations, constipation, diverticulitis. Anything you can think of, you can ultrasound now. For some reason, people that use ultrasound seem to think that they're outside of the evidence-based medicine paradigm. So people that are really talented at ultrasound or really skilled at it, they seem to think anything I ultrasound, if it's there, it must be real, I have 100% accuracy. Other people that are less trained in ultrasound, they seem to think they can disregard the evidence out there that says this helps people. Both of these practices are dangerous and not good for patient care. So, my co-hosts and I, this is Craig Bolger, Jacob Avila, we started this podcast April 2016. It's been a wild ride. We've really enjoyed it. Our mission at the beginning was that we wanted to bring the evidence that's out there to people and make it more accessible. The idea is that we want people to practice ultrasound in an evidence-based way. And we hope that we could make it easier for them to do that. We do that in a number of different ways. So first we have the podcast. These come out every 2 weeks, and over the past couple years, only missed a couple of those. Each podcast we discuss one recent article in the point-of-care ultrasound literature, and we use it as a diving board to talk about that topic and some of our practices in point-of-care ultrasound. We try to model the podcast to best facilitate auditory learning. So we keep these short and sweet. They're usually less than 15 minutes long. We frequently summarize the content, and we always end with some take-home points. In addition to the podcast, we simultaneously release some colorful graphics. So a lot of you have seen these on social media. They're pretty popular, I think, because they're bright and I use interesting fonts. But you can see that we release these with every single podcast. And the way that I think of it is kind of like a visual abstract. You look at it and you say, do I want to read more? Do I want to hear more? Does that seem interesting to me? And these become part of the post on the website. So if you were to go to our website, ultrasoundgel.org, you can see that we have all of our posts there. And it's not just show notes for every podcast. We have inline streaming of the audio. You can download the audio, get it on iTunes, or wherever else you get podcasts. And then we kind of discuss the study a little more in depth. We link to other FOAMed resources that are relevant. And then, as everyone knows, a staple of the FOAMed community is discussion. So we have a place where you can place comments about it, and it really creates that community of FOAMed where you can all come together and hash out a topic or a debate, and that's what's really great. The site also has a nice search function. If you're just interested in a certain type of article, you can look through all of the podcasts on that one topic. Another part of the website that we're pretty proud of is this More Articles section. So that means articles that we didn't do a podcast on, but we still thought would be interesting to people. We go through hundreds of point-of-care ultrasound articles every month and bring them onto this website where we place them in categories so that you can really navigate easily. If you're interested in airway ultrasound or trauma or volume assessment, you can find these articles and the website keeps them up to date. So these are only in the past couple of months. The most recent ones always go to the top in the newest section, and then once they're over a year old, automatically go into the archive section. So, how have things been going for us? Well, this is kind of like a year in review. So if you go back to June 2017, you can see that we're getting about a couple thousand downloads per month. We're pretty happy with that. We hit a nice spike in December, and then for 2018, it's been closer to 9,000, 10,000 per month, which is great. Now, I'm really excited because actually in May, this month, even though it's not complete, we've already tripled last month's downloads. We're now at like 33,000 downloads this month, which is pretty exciting growth. The cool thing is that this isn't just from the US too. So this is a global map. Any country that's in blue is someone that's interacted with the website or downloaded the podcast. So you can see it's pretty widespread. And although most of our following is from the US and Canada, we do have a significant number of followers that are from the UK, Italy, Spain, and Australia. So that's pretty exciting, and I think it really speaks to one of the benefits of Foam Ed, kind of shrinking the world down so we can interact with people all over. Part of this popularity may have come from endorsements from a lot of different people along the way. The ASAP Emergency Ultrasound section has been kind enough to feature us in their newsletter on a couple of occasions. Life in the Fast Lane Reviews, which if you're not familiar, they're a great website. They go through all of the Foam Ed content out there, and they've actually featured us a couple times on those as some of the best of the week. We've also been honored to be part of the pre-coursework for an international conference on venous thromboembolism, and that was really great too. Now, as Ken kind of mentioned earlier, I can't really go through a talk on Foam Ed without addressing what people's concerns would be, right? I'm sure anytime you hear Foam Ed that's discussing evidence-based medicine or articles, people are going to say, well, aren't you just encouraging people to not read the real literature? Aren't you encouraging people to throw out their textbooks and just stick to the internet, and that's their exclusive form of education? And it's obvious to a lot of people that engage with this, but that's an entirely inappropriate way to use Foam Ed. Instead, what I think this podcast and others like it aim to do is to merely advertise the literature and engage people with it further. So my hope is that people that use this podcast and the resources we've put together are actually going to read the original articles more. They're going to be more likely to be engaged with that literature and want to know for themselves. We always are encouraging people to form their own practice patterns and make their own decisions based on their read of the literature. So where do we go from here? I think that the podcast has hit a really nice stride now, and it's been going pretty smoothly, but I still have a lot of ideas of how we can make it better. So we're going to be expanding the ultrasound gel team. We're going to be bringing some more people on board. That means more people that can help us find good articles, work on the website, and even some new voices on the podcast. In addition, like many other Foam Ed resources, I'd like to initiate a peer review process of sorts, or an expert reviewer. So if you're not familiar with this, what it means is that prior to publication and release, we would send the podcast and the website content to an expert, either in point-of-care ultrasound or evidence-based medicine, have them kind of vet the material and provide some feedback and comments. And that just provides an added layer of protection prior to disseminating this to a larger audience. So, as I said, this has been a really great experience to me. I've enjoyed it immensely. It's allowed me to interact with and meet many people along the way. I'm always looking for feedback, ways that I can make this a better resource for people. I have to thank Cray and Jacob, as well as my brother Tom, who does all of our website for us free of charge. But my hope for this podcast is that it will ultimately encourage people to engage with the literature of point-of-care ultrasound, just like we do for any other part of emergency medicine. This is a really valuable tool, and when we use it right, we benefit ourselves and we benefit our patients. Feel free to come up and grab a super limited edition ultrasound gel pen. And thanks for your time.
Looks like we're going to have to put in some rules next year for free handouts.
I intentionally didn't give it
to the judges. Yeah, no. They've written extensive conflict of interest statements and stuff like that. So does anybody have any questions for our G.E.L speaker? Are the judges feverishly like working through it is like alchemy over there, as they told me there'd be no math, but you're working it out? Okay. I have an envelope. Does that mean you're going to go to the back of the room?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So that was quick, wasn't it? No questions. Cover the material. I have the envelope. Maybe I could get all the SAEM's Got Talent to stand up here with me, please. And so thank you, everybody, for coming out this morning. Yeah, you're going to try to dim the lights. I think you just hold it down and then release. So hopefully some people are videotaping this. Are you videotaping it? Are we? Oh, there we go. Okay, thank you. Dimming the lights. So for SAEM's Got Talent, the winner is after the next commercial. Oh! I was just trying to channel my Ryan Seacrest. No, our winner is Michael Prats. But each of our winners, because they're accelerating evidence-based medicine and the foam ed world, we're going to give them a foam AGEM Indy 500 race car that's been tweeted all over the place. But we do have this wonderful certificate, too. So now you actually get to hold it. Before I had to hold it. So maybe we could have a picture with the judges up here and our...